And tonight on the Daily Wrap, debate season has officially started. The B team debate has already begun as the main players will take the stage later tonight. Did Hillary Clinton engage in criminal activity? An unnamed source says she might have. And as the White House stands by Planned Parenthood, have they even watched any of the videos that have been released? We've got all of that, plus your colorful viewer comments. This is the Daily Wrap, live from New York City. And welcome to the show, everybody. I'm Joe Concha, joined by my co-host, Ricky Younger. Good to see you.
Hey, man. So we were all set to cover the first debate, the what are they calling it? The cocktail
kitty
hour
table
debate. And I was watching it, so I'd be ready, and then I fell asleep. So,
wow.
What a snooze.
Yeah, you know why? There's no front runner to attack.
Maybe that's it, but these people were just boring.
Well, you missed Gilmore, because Gilmore was electric.
Yeah, you needed Gilmore.
Jimmy
Gilmore.
Gilmore.
This guy, and by the way, we're going to run a contest. If you can tell us who Jimmy Gilmore is, you can win a date with Joe.
Wow. Yes, and he is not the golfer from the Adam Sandler movie,
Yeah,
just to
right.
be clear.
Happy Gilmore.
Two, Happy's right. She's the founder and executive director of the Accountability Project and host of the appropriately named Accountability Podcast. She is Nomi Konst, exactly. And finally, he's a well-known national radio personality. He's also new to the Daily Wrap. He is Casey Bartholomew. Good to see you, sir.
Thank you.
Welcome. All right, let's
Ricky
get right to the
Bates.
Daily Download.
Ricky Bates.
And today marks the beginning of the debate season for the 2016 presidential election. It kicked off about an hour ago as Fox hosted their Republican kitty table debate featuring all the candidates that didn't qualify for the main course. That's tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. That group includes Texas Governor Rick Perry, former Pennsylvania Senator Rick Santorum, Louisiana Governor Bobby Jindal, former HP head Carly Fiorina, South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham, former New York Governor George Pataki, and former Virginia Governor, we're giving away the answer already, Jimmy Gilmore. But the big show starts on Fox, as we said, where Donald Trump will be taking center stage with former Florida Governor Jeb Bush, Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker, former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee, retired neurosurgeon Ben Carson, Texas Senator Ted Cruz, Florida Senator Marco Rubio, Kentucky Senator Rand Paul, New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, and Ohio Governor, otherwise known as your 45th President, John Kasich. Okay.
That's all the time we have, folks. Good night.
Yeah, seriously. That was exhausting reading 17 names like that. All right, so Trump obviously is the big star.
I don't think I heard you say Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Well,
I think you skipped over.
I think you missed Donald Trump.
No, I didn't miss
Media
Donald
bias.
Trump. Donald Trump is now part of my question, which was coming, which was obviously not mentioned as Donald Trump for good reason, because that's what we're going to be talking about probably for the next 8 minutes.
Yeah.
How will he do tonight?
I think it's going. This whole debate's going to be about Donald Trump versus Chris Wallace and Megyn Kelly.
Your moderators, 2 of the 3?
Yes, that's the debate. That's the debate.
Not prepared?
Not as much. Brett's more of a calm, gentlemanly force. I think Megyn and I think Chris are just going to smack him. They're going to hit him with the hard questions, and they're not going to be willing to take snappy one-liners as a response.
Can I put you on the spot?
Sure.
What would you ask him if you could ask him one question tonight as a moderator?
Well, after I get to ask him who does his hair?
Yeah. After that
You know, honestly, it could be any question at all that requires an explanation of policy, actual policy. This is, if he claims he hasn't prepared for this. I hope that's not true, because I would hope that he would take it more seriously. But pick a subject. He's got to be prepared to get into some depth beyond a one-liner on policy, or he's never really going to be taking that seriously.
No, what's got him to the top at this point where, for instance, I heard one interview where somebody said, what would you do about Obamacare? He goes, Obamacare, it's horrible. I'd repeal it immediately as president. And then he was asked, what would you do to replace it? He goes, I would give something fantastic.
Right.
We'll come up with something fantastic.
That's his answer.
Right,
Well, it'll be fantastic.
Right. And I'm not criticizing it because
Adjective.
I'm criticizing
because we're an ADD kind of, or ADT, that's my security, ADD kind of society, so maybe it's good to speak in overarching terms, which is I would get rid of it and give you something better. Okay, good enough, I trust him. But all that said, I think that's where they're going to go, to Rick's point, the moderators. We want details. You say you're going to take on ISIS, you got a plan for ISIS. What's your plan for ISIS? Share it with the American people now, and then let's see how he does.
You know, I think it's going to be interesting because I don't know. I mean, I was listening to their discussion yesterday on Fox. They were talking about, the moderators were talking about how they're going to frame the questions. But are they going to interrupt him? Are they going to say, okay, that's great, but you're not answering the question?
I hope so.
But you know what might be interesting is I think he might flip out at them and he'll wage a war against Fox afterwards.
Even better.
Really?
Yeah.
You think so?
No, I think that if they're tough on him, he will respond and wage a war on Fox and make them out to be the bad guys.
Actually, you raised the right question just now. You reminded me, and you're right, the question should be about ISIS because he said at the very beginning, I have a great plan to deal with ISIS, but he wouldn't tell us what it was. Well, maybe now it's time for him to tell us what it was.
Or what I would do then if I'm in that situation and I'm Trump, I say, look, what we do all the time with our government and even our military leaders, we forecast what our plan will be militarily. We are going to go into this city X day. We have a plan to do this. He could very easily say, you know what, we've been doing that all the time. I'm not going to share with you what I'm going to do and share with the enemy at the same time. I don't know. I could see him finding a way to get around it, you know? But
he
Casey,
look up his book and say, well,
it's in the book and it's
in the book. Watch.
Yeah, good point. So, Casey, since you've been on the show, never been on the show before, first let me get your thoughts on Trump. Would you support him, and why is he resonating so much?
He's resonating so much because he's saying the things that people are thinking. You know, because everything he says, he's never 100% wrong, but he's never 100% right. And I think the point that he's going to go out there and he's going to answer in platitudes. All politicians do that. The difference between Trump and these politicians is he's a media whore. And he knows how to work the media and he knows how to say things. And I firmly believe he's going to start a media war with Fox News. No matter how he does, when it's all said and done, he's going to pop out and he's going to say, well, they were unfair to me. They asked this question, they asked that question. And it's not going to matter what he says, like with every politician, no matter how he says it.
Thank you. You said it before. You said, you know, I was falling asleep, I was bored, right? And we were watching, we thought that people looked nervous or they looked stiff. You know, that's why I saw it. I saw it for the first time, all these people on a stage, and I said, he's the contrast to that.
Right. You know what's interesting? What Casey just said is what a lot of people say, which is he's saying what people are thinking. And I know that's true, and it's profoundly disturbing because that means that Americans are thinking about insulting everybody they can find.
Well, because they're getting tired of all this nice stuff. That's
I don't know if it's nice. It's just overly consulted. Like these candidates are created. Like that's really what it is.
Everything is sanitized. That's true.
Yeah.
Donald Trump, who has never been a big political political debate before, he said, has been trying to manage expectations about this debate.
I guess my whole life is a debate when you get right down to it. But Trish, it's not something that, you know, I do professionally, and these guys do it professionally, but I think we'll do just fine.
You sound like you're managing expectations. You're setting the bar low, and you know, we can all be surprised.
I want to set it as low as possible. I want to set that bar so low. I want to set that bar so low you have no idea. But you know, we'll see what happens.
Okay. Interesting question here. Nomi, I'll ask you this. Do you think that Trump is actually nervous before this debate? Are you nervous now?
I'm not nervous. I'm never nervous.
Can we make you nervous?
I think that if he really wants to win, he's nervous. I still am not convinced he really wants to win. I think that this is some sort of big plan for something else that we're not even aware of.
Okay. One word answer. Nervous, yes or no?
No.
Nervous? Yes.
I think he is nervous.
I agree.
No.
He should be. I would
gave
be.
a political answer.
There has been a lot of talk of Trump flaming out. Former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani doesn't think so.
Well, first of all, he's not a Roman candle. This is a very smart guy. This is a person who is media savvy in ways that some of the other candidates aren't. And he's a lot more substantive than you realize. I know Donald 25 years, meaning he understands a lot of the world issues with a lot more depth than you probably realize. So we might have a little bit of a Ronald Reagan here, a guy they underestimate.
Okay, the Trump-Reagan comparison, that's interesting. Is he being underestimated, Rick Unger?
He was. I don't think he is anymore.
Agreed. Nomi?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll see tonight in about 2.5 hours. Anyway, if you go to Newsmax.com, you can read a letter that Donald Trump has prepared for our audience where he reveals what his plans are, we just talked about that, to win the White House and the issues he will face. The letter can be found at the top of the Newsmax.com homepage. All you need to do is click on the link that says Donald Trump's urgent letter. Go there now. It is definitely worth a few minutes of your time. Coming up next, did Hillary Clinton engage in criminal activity? One unnamed source says absolutely. This is the Daily Wrap, and it's only on Newsmax TV.
I did not email any classified material to anyone on my email. There is no classified material. So I'm certainly well aware of the classification requirements and did not send classified material.
And welcome back to the Daily Wrap. As we reported last night, both the FBI and the Clinton campaign are insisting that the FBI investigation into Hillary Clinton's private emails is not of a criminal nature. But today we learned that this might not be the case. The New York Post is reporting, based on an unnamed federal source, that the investigation is very much geared towards discovering if Mrs. Clinton engaged in some criminal activity. According to that unnamed source, the Post reports it's definitely a criminal probe. I'm not sure why they're not calling it a criminal probe. The DOJ and FBI can conduct civil investigations in very limited circumstances, but that's not what this is. In this case, a security violation would lead to criminal charges. Maybe DOJ is trying to protect her campaign. Joe, it's an unnamed source, but it's got to be enough to have the Clinton administration more than a little concerned, wouldn't you think?
Another day.
Did I say the administration? I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yes.
The Clinton campaign a little concerned.
Freud says there's no accidents.
Yeah, right.
Yes. Interesting. It's just another day in the Cal Ripken streak of Hillary Clinton having to answer questions about that instead of maybe Jeb Bush saying that we're not giving women's health enough money or going on the offensive when it comes to XYZ. And that's the problem. Every day she's on the defense. Every day we're talking about this. Every day her trust crumbles a little bit more, at least trust in her from the American people, Rick.
So, Nomi, I mean, I know that you wouldn't mind such a problem because you're a Joe Biden fan. But there's two questions that go with this. The first is the mere discussion of the potential of criminal violations just deadly to the campaign? And two, what if the DOJ actually filed those charges?
I think the discussion, I don't even know if this is true, to be honest. Like, I think that the New York Post has a reputation for finding sources in convenient places. So, I'm not a Hillary fan, but I'm curious to see who these sources are. There's like lots of unnamed sources right now.
It's hard to get too shook up when it's an unnamed federal source. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, and there's a lot of that happening. But every time there's a story published, whether it's in the New York Times or the New York Post or some blog, it's the conversation is shifted and she's back on the defense. And I don't think that her campaign is doing a great job of defending. They're attacking the media, and that doesn't necessarily help.
That actually leads into my next question for Casey. Casey, let's just project ahead. And we learn in 30, 60 days' time that there is no criminal probe. There never was a criminal probe. This is just not in the cards. Does this create a scenario where Hillary Clinton can stand up, effectively play the victim, and actually come out ahead?
No, I don't think so, because people already hate Hillary. Nobody likes Hillary.
Well, not everybody, obviously. She still leads in every single poll.
She leads in every poll because look who she's running against. If Joe Biden enters the race, she's got a real problem on her hands. And that's why it would become damaging to the campaign, because it creates that opening for somebody like Biden to come in. But as it stands right now, she doesn't need to play the victim, so she's not going to play She might play it because that's the only
Although it's worked
she
out
has.
well for her. We can all think back to New Hampshire in the 2008 campaign. The first time Hillary tugged at anybody's heartstrings and succeeded in winning a primary because of it was when she cried.
Let me answer your question, what you asked Casey before. Like, okay, let's say there is no criminal investigation. Now, this reminds me of Chris Christie. Where Chris Christie was exonerated, in essence, right? But the damage was done to the image.
Very fair point. That's a very fair point.
And
Chris Christie has not recovered.
It's not 2008. I mean, we have Benghazi. She still has to testify before the Benghazi hearings, which is what she agreed to do. Even if it's BS, she still has to do it. And she's not a good performer. She's not Bill. She can't change the debate.
But look at what she did. We were talking about New Hampshire back in 2008, where she started crying on TV because Barack Obama, smacked her around a little bit in Iowa. Not physically, but because that would be so wrong. But look at the campaign. commercial she's putting out right now. It's all about being a grandmother.
No, that's right.
Because she has no records.
She's looking to get that heartbeat going.
Yep.
You're very right. So meanwhile, conservative activist and frequent political litigant Larry Klayman has filed a motion as part of his RICO case against both President and Mrs. Clinton, asking a judge to take possession of a flash drive, which is being held right now by Clinton lawyer David Kendall. According to Kendall, who has sued, not Kendall, we got Kendall in there, according to Klayman, who has sued both Hillary and President Bill Clinton for violating the RICO law, the flash drive contains all of the emails sent by Mrs. Clinton while she was Secretary of State.
Indeed.
We all remember Larry Klayman and his many lawsuits that are all of a political nature. He is what those who I know well tend to call a crazy, a loony. Yeah. But the question is, could this succeed?
I don't think that a flash drive can hold that many emails. I'm sorry, but that
depends
just
on the flash drive.
No, I mean, we're talking about
drive.
hundreds of thousands of emails.
I get it.
I don't even think
there
that's
are
possible.
flash drives that can handle.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's just a technical question.
You don't know sports, you don't know technology.
It could be a terabyte, you know?
No, but I do. I think it's BS. I think it's another. If the right goes too far.
Kendall has told us that he's got them. He's got it. The question is can a judge force him to give it up, and is there any legal reason for them to do that?
That's what I wanted to ask you. I mean, does this make sense under the RICO? No.
Under RICO acts, I don't think it does. I mean, the RICO case is predicated on the idea that the two of them have conspired to deny freedom of information requests, to not answer them. Well, seeing the emails wouldn't really speak to that issue. So I don't know. It's worth a try if I'm Mr. Klayman.
Who's the guy who put the evidence in his refrigerator and then tried to walk it out in his underwear?
Oh, I don't know.
Louisiana?
Yes.
Is that Louisiana?
Yeah.
All right.
After the break.
Do you think Hillary Clinton violated the law? You can tell us by going to newsmaxtv.com/comments. Let us know what you think. Coming up next, a new poll out shows Democrats really want Joe Biden. Stay with us. It's getting good.
And welcome back with the Daily Wrap. Let's check in with our own Steve Malzberg and see what he has planned for tonight. Steve,
Joe, Roland Martin will be here. He has a lot to say about Donald Trump and the Republicans. We'll hear from Larry Kudlow on Donald Trump's economic policy. Ron Kessler on the two Donald Trumps. I think you'll find that interesting. Two Malzberg panels, and it's coming your way next, right after the Daily Wrap.
All right, Steve, thank you. Before we get to our next segment, we've been checking out social media while we were in break, and it appears that we have a winner, at least in the Twitter sphere. Nomi, who won the first debate according to the Twitter?
According to the Twitter, Carly Fiorina is dominating my Twitter. Yeah. And I follow Republicans, Democrats, conservative reporters and
One Direction.
mainstream. Yeah, I'm a One Direction. Greg Gutfeld says this chick, Carly Fiorina, is doing pretty good for a skirt. Is a totally unacceptable comment that I strongly condemn. Okay, that was interesting. That's the one that stood out. Katie Pavlich is all for Carly Fiorina. It's really, quite surprising.
I'm seeing the same thing on my Twitter. Yeah. Apparently, she really did impress a lot of people.
If you win that debate, you get to head the EPA, right? That's what happens if you win that debate.
Or you get the vice presidential nod. Just a thought.
Maybe.
Just a thought.
Maybe.
I mean, she's a woman, so clearly.
The big line actually was not her zinging the Rick Perry or the aforementioned Gilmore, but she went after Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump in the same breath.
Should it be like a golf tournament where if she's declared the winner, she gets an exemption into the big debate in the next time?
That's how it should work.
Yeah. Is that a sports thing I don't get?
That's a golf thing.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
If you win, you get an exemption.
But explain that line when she took on Trump and Clinton in the same breath, and I thought it was the zinger of the debate as far as not getting invited to any weddings.
Right. She hasn't donated to the Clinton Foundation. As Donald Trump did, so she's, what did she say? She's on stage. You're putting me on the spot here. I can't remember the quote. But basically, she attacked him and said, if I haven't donated to the Clinton Foundation,
in honor of this, you're supposed to say "oops" now.
Oops now.
Oops.
Right.
Like Rick Perry.
Like Rick Perry.
Anyway, a new Zogby poll shows that almost half of Democrats want this guy to run for president.
And Neil Smith, an old buddy. Are you here, Neil? Neil, I miss you, man. I miss you.
His last-minute economic plan does nothing to tackle the #1 job facing the middle class, and it happens to be, as Barack says, a 3-letter word: jobs. J-O-B-S.
And to the U.S. Senate as well for their trust and confidence. I've got a lot of thanks to give out here. First and foremost to my perfect wife, Stephanie.
Now is the time to heed the timeless advice from Teddy Roosevelt. Speak softly and carry a big stick. End of quote. I promise you, the president has a big stick. I promise you.
In terms of foreclosure, in terms of bad loans that were being, these Shylocks who took advantage of these women and men.
In Delaware, the largest growth in population is Indian Americans moving from India. You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent. It's a brilliant. I'm not joking.
Every time I hear that.
The greatest hits, man.
Yeah, I never heard the big stick one before, but I don't doubt it in any capacity.
I think he said that on purpose.
Yeah, well, I think once he was going down that road, decided to go all the way.
Yeah.
But could you imagine anything that Joe Biden just said there, and that comes out of, pick somebody, Ted Cruz's mouth.
Yeah.
Right? Cruz would have been shipped out of the country.
Oh, I'd like him a whole lot better.
I know you would.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that he gets away with it because it's Joe being Joe. Just like Donald Trump gets away with things, he says as well, because he is seen as a genuine person, and it's not done in any malicious way. It's just Joe being Joe.
It's a little hokey too. Like, I think he has this. There's this like, I'm from a different generation. This is how we speak. But he also has gravitas. The difference between making a gaffe as a Ted Cruz or Marco Rubio or any of these other guys is that they didn't have the Senate Foreign Relations Committee or the Judiciary Committee or
So you're allowed to be an idiot if you headed the Senate Foreign Relations.
There's no idiot.
I just try to follow rules.
Would you like a script? Would you rather him scripted?
From a skirt.
Speaking of scripts, let's go back into one. That's right, Uncle Joe is getting some serious support to run. If the gaffe-prone Veep runs for president, Hillary Clinton's 46% lead over socialist Bernie Sanders drops to 31%, and Biden comes in with 21% of the vote. That's before he's even declared, of course. Obviously, Clinton has a big lead, but as Zogby pointed out, quote, when majorities of Hispanic, African American, and single voters say they want Mr. Biden to enter, it suggests that Clinton has a problem still generating some enthusiasm among the key Obama coalition. 2 questions, Rick. Will he run, and should he run?
I think he should run. I don't know if he will run. That's my best assessment.
Okay, quickly.
He's gonna run.
Yeah, I think he'll run.
We are in agreement. 3.5, he will run. I agree. Okay, so does Bernie Sanders have a shot to take the Democratic nomination? Shifting gears for a moment, go to newsmaxtv.com/comments, or does Joe Biden, for that matter? Coming up, the White House have they seen the Planned Parenthood videos? Well, they say no. Bye.
And welcome back to the Daily Wrap. As the battle over Planned Parenthood rages on, the organization's defenders are now fighting back.
This was a 3-year effort by this fake group to try to entrap doctors and then splice and edit videos to make it look like they were doing something wrong, which they were not. And I think it's really important to understand that all of this is about denying women access to health care in this country.
Now, one such defender of the Women's Health Organization, which receives over $500 million each year in federal funding, is the Obama White House. But there may be a problem. It appears that nobody at the White House has taken the time to watch any of the videos before forming an opinion.
There's nothing in these tapes that bothers you and anyone in the White House?
Well, Jake, I got to tell you, these videos were released because of their shock value. And there's no doubt that what's depicted on these videos is shocking. I know that based on the news reports that I've read about the videos. I haven't actually looked at them.
You don't have to watch just the edited version. You can watch the whole version.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm relying on news reports that I've seen of people who've taken a look at this and raised questions about the videos themselves. And there's no doubt that this is an organization that has targeted Planned Parenthood for some time. So they clearly have an ideological axe to grind.
Well, somebody at the White House should maybe watch the videos in full.
Casey, I think Jake might have this one right. I mean, how do you form an opinion on this entire matter that's going on without ever looking at the videos?
I don't know why this surprises anybody. I mean, when they voted through the Obamacare law, half the senators said they never read the bill, but they voted through it anyway, and they put it out there. So I don't know why anybody's shocked by this. I mean, I wouldn't want to watch the videos either because they were disgusting. But
well, they were, but you know what? If you're going to have an opinion, I mean, we've all looked at
politicians.
them.
They need to have the information to have an opinion.
I don't know. What do you think? I mean, I was troubled by what
I'm sure somebody's watched them. I think that he was just put on the spot.
Somebody's watching now.
Well,
no, listen, someone's watched him. I mean, did the president sit there for 4 hours? No, he has other things to do, and that's good that he didn't watch him for 4 hours because he's still going to be in favor of legalized abortion. So, you know, we're not going to defund an entire women's organization.
I think Nomi's probably right. I think somebody was watching him at the White House, and for some reason they don't want to cop to it. Why do they see it as, I mean, look, let me back up here. You know the problems that I have with the White House communications staff. You know, while I can be supportive of the president, I think his communications team are just the worst. Why don't they just say, yeah, we saw it. There are things that we're concerned about. We're looking into it. We think the investigation's a good idea or a bad idea. Why just say we haven't bothered to look?
Because Josh Earnest and the White House communications team in general, they like to speak in absolutes. There is no nuance. If they say we found it, like Hillary Clinton said, I find it disgusting, and a couple days later said, yeah, but Planned Parenthood is great. They realize that they have to just take one side and, oh, yeah, we didn't watch it. He got caught, Josh Earnest. And all I know is Josh Earnest, I'm friends with Jay Carney. I've known Jay Carney for a long time. Josh Earnest, you're no Jay Carney.
Yeah, how do you get caught, though? I mean, how can you not know that question's coming?
That's just a simple question. I mean, the thing about the videos to me is, like, what did people think was going on there?
What mean at Planned Parenthood?
At Planned Parenthood.
Well,
what
actually,
did people think they were doing with the discarded fetuses? I mean,
I don't think people
not
thought
keeping him
about
intact.
it, first of all.
Exactly. I don't think anybody wants to know what's going on.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, they have the Planned Parenthood there. They want the rights. They want everything that's going on, but they don't want to know what's going on behind the scenes.
No, but there are issues. You know, I keep saying this. I was disturbed by the tapes as everybody else, I would imagine. But, you know, I do like to step back, take an objective look. They are not condemned necessarily by what's on the tapes from a legal point of view, but there's clearly enough to raise the question that should be investigated.
But
they're
trying to end the debate. I mean, I see what the Democrats are doing. Every Democrat I know
it's not going to work.
Is just trying to. I mean, but it happened with Acorn. I mean, they saw what happened with Acorn, and we lost a very strong organization based on these stupid videos that these organizations do with hidden cameras, and I think that they're trying to prevent another one of those from happening, and they're just not talking about it.
That could be, but Joe, do you think there's any chance the Democrats have any chance of ending this debate by seeing it simply go away?
No.
No.
Never. And we're going to see it during the 2016 campaign. I think this is something where Republicans on social issues are usually pretty shy. They'll be on the offensive with Hillary Clinton saying she supports what Planned Parenthood is doing. Those disgusting videos.
If you see it during the 2016 campaign, that's not good for the Republicans. Let's keep in mind that while this hubbub is happening, the polls show that a very strong majority of Americans support Planned Parenthood.
Yeah, and I think that's the most important issue here is, and why we'll see Jeb Bush just sideline from this and not take the stance on, is only 2% of the Republican voting bloc really cares about abortion enough to vote on it.
And that's why it's such a PR gaffe, because they allow the pro-lifers to come in, and they'll take any opening you can, and they'll blow it up into a big deal like this.
But Casey, isn't it usually trouble when the GOP is running a candidate for president to get into those social issues? Don't they do better if they stick to the economy and those real key
Lately, it's been the problem for the GOP when they run a candidate for president. That's been
general.
the biggest in general. As a Republican, it's been a problem for me since '92.
By the way, you haven't told us who you're supporting. You're new.
Right now, I like Walker.
You do?
Still?
Yeah.
We'll talk about that. I'm very disappointed
Rick loves
to hear
Walker
that,
also.
but let us know what you think about the White House suggesting that they have not watched the Planned Parenthood videos by leaving a comment over at newsmaxtv.com/comments. Let us know. We still want to know what you think about Planned Parenthood. Coming up next, we're going to read some of your viewer comments. Don't go anywhere.
And welcome back to Daily Wrap. Let's read some of your viewer comments. First up, we have a couple about you know who, Donald Trump. Here's one from David who says, "More Trump. He's the truth teller and is not a Washington liar. I see 3 exclamation points." Well, and that's what we're going to be seeing tonight. Well, actually, I'm sure you want to challenge that as far as the liar part.
I've had to say it so many times. I'm just
Trumped out.
Trumped out.
Right. Okay, take over. Next.
Okay, here's one from Bob who says Donald Trump is a landslide everywhere he goes. I don't know what that means. Tell the rest to just quit now and go home, LOL.
I think it wins in a landslide
anywhere
he goes.
Presume that's what he meant, but
Okay.
or I don't know what he meant.
What's the LOL?
Laugh out loud.
But that wasn't a funny comment.
So I don't know.
Maybe he's just.
I am not
laughing
a
at the
comment
landslide
interpreter. I just read them as I see them.
Landslide on landslide, maybe the LOL.
Oh.
Yeah, double landslide.
ROFL.
Okay, here's one about Hillary Clinton from Kathy with a C, who says, regardless of how Hillary Clinton chooses to speak, it is her words that tell the tale. When a person has proven to be untrustworthy, it doesn't matter what accent they use. The result is the same. Her words carry no weight. Casey, have you seen the accent videos that we've been featuring here on the
where
news?
she goes back and forth between being a good old girl and the Washington elite? Sure.
Yeah, they are tremendous, and they're insulting. Like people kind of laugh about them. I say that's her biggest problem. When she does that sort of thing, it's just so grating and so fake. And what bothers me, we talked about the campaign and who's running it. Somebody has to pull her aside and say, do not do that again.
Yeah.
There is no positives around that.
Very cogent comment. Very cogent comment.
Thank you. Me or the comment?
No, the commenter, the gentleman or woman who wrote in. Very cogent comment. None of us can argue with you because until Hillary gets it straightened out, if she can, you're right.
Good job, Kathy.
Good job, Kathy.
Go, Kathy.
Last night, we told you about the CEO who raised the minimum salary at his company to $70,000 a year. JRM says, I think it was great what the gentleman from Gravity did. I probably would have done wage increases per experience, time served, so to speak. Then anything after could have been his pay increase. For the gentleman who said we are at our good spot as far as minimum wage, buddy, we are long overdue for an increase. The government got their raises, then shut down the government, costing how much? So to kind of sum all that up, I think what this commenter is saying that we do need the minimum raise. Had a problem with
Josh.
What Josh had to say, and I agree with everything she said. And you know what? She's probably right about the problem of raising it to a certain level for everybody. There's a story out today that people at Walmart, employees who were at a higher level making more money, are extremely upset about the fact that the minimum wage employees have been brought up, but theirs hasn't moved. Right. They feel like they put in all that time to get to a higher level. I can appreciate it.
The exception is Walmart keeps people out of work. They hold hours. They don't provide benefits. You know, so there's always a way around the system.
Well, yes, and hopefully Walmart, who got lots of great press out of raising the minimum, will also do what they should do with respect to those people who also deserve to go higher.
The Gravity CEO should have put all that money towards bonuses. Year-end bonuses based on performance, and then stop it. But to your point, though, $7.50 an hour. When you take out taxes, how do you live on $5 an hour?
Exactly.
But you have make a very good point, though. Should be based on age. You're a teenager, sure, walking around money.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's no legal way that I'm aware of to do that.
And then everybody would just hire teenagers. Which is what they did before. When I was growing up, it was $3.35 an hour.
Yeah.
So $3.35.
Mine was $1.65.
I don't know. As your resident millennial,
back in the day of Lincoln.
Pay. I think the young should be paid more because they have more debt.
Wow.
Student loan debt.
Not kids in high school.
Yeah, well, they will.
We're not. That's what we were talking about. There, we're
yeah.
talking about kids who are making pocket money. I'm not as concerned about them as I am about people who are supporting a family on the
So you want them to start at a certain age, then go down as they get older?
That'll work.
Either way,
pay off your debt. We'll take your money.
Listen to Naomi. She's a student. She's pre-med. I thought she was pre-law.
Yeah,
what's the difference? All right. Finally, tonight we have a comment from Karen with a K on immigration. She says, quote, I live in Texas and the illegal immigrant students have a better chance of obtaining a job over an equal American student. When these children are entering our schools early to teach them English, they are now bilingual. While our American children are not offered a second language until junior high school, which is useless for the most part because it's too late for them to become bilingual. Frankly, I'm sick of paying for Mexico's citizens ending up with jobs, taking jobs from our citizens. Our children are left behind. These immigrants should be sent back at the border, not temporarily retained just to be released into the community with a court date to return, but they don't. That is easily our longest comment we've
received. What she really feels about this.
Well, was very candid, very true. The point is that American jobs are being taken away by
Except
immigrants
that I
coming
don't
into the
believe
country.
that the data supports that.
It doesn't.
So.
Okay,
And it's
very
they're
good.
down at the border. They're not coming in. So.
Okay. I can go for some Taco Bell right now, actually. Just had that hankering. Anyway, remember, if you want to weigh in on any of these issues we talk about here on Newsmax, be sure to go to newsmaxtv.com, right down there, /comments, and let us know. Next up, yay or nay, this is the Daily Wrap.
Eric, would you agree that the culture wars are over, as many people would say, and that the other side won?
No. I don't think the culture war is over, primarily because the people who appear to be the victors right now are the least likely to procreate. So we will eventually breed them out of existence demographically.
And welcome back to the Daily Wrap. It's time for yay or nay. First up, that was, of course, Red State Editor-in-Chief Erick Erickson speaking at the Gospel in Politics Conference in Nashville, Tennessee. Rick missed out this year. Erickson has a long history of spewing anti-gay rhetoric, and he also has a pretty big influence in the GOP as well. In fact, he'll be hosting several GOP candidates at a conference later this week. I think we could all agree that Erickson's comments were ill-advised, but is it smart politically for the GOP to associate themselves with him, Unger?
This is a little tough one for me because I know Eric, and believe it or not, I really like Eric. Eric in real life's a nice guy.
Was that a malicious comment, you think, or he was just making a joke?
I don't know. I think he was making a joke. Look, we don't agree on much politically. We probably don't agree on what time it is. But it's always hard when you hear somebody that you know and like say something like that, but you know that they can be different.
Okay, you're conflicted. The problem I have with Erick Erickson, actually, is parents. Who names him Eric when the last name's already Erickson? It's like the last name Thomas. Tom Thomas, yeah, that'll work. I don't know. I think that put him in a hole from the start. Right, exactly. There's a question here somewhere. What was that obnoxious? Were you offended by it, or was the guy just making a joke?
I think he's sort of giving away the strategy, and I think he's leaving out some other parts too, like let's keep education down so people do procreate. He's giving away the strategy.
Interesting. Does that hurt a GOP candidate if they're associated with him, or he's just not enough of a name where no one's going to care?
Probably a little bit for primary purposes, unfortunately, because the only people who vote in primaries are the hardcore liberals or the hardcore conservatives, and when you're going hardcore conservative, you kind of have to not care for the smell of the people you're around.
Interesting.
A little bit.
And he has quite a scent.
He has quite an odor.
Eric stings nostrils.
Wow.
I got to tell you,
Look,
he smells like pure
it's
gasoline.
the liberal sitting here being quiet. You notice that?
Yeah, very good.
It all changes when you know them.
We're going to be golfing with Eric on Sunday. Next up, Netflix and Microsoft are making headlines after announcing new maternity and paternity leave policies. Netflix announced Tuesday that it will now offer unlimited maternity and paternity leave, allowing its employees to take as much time as they want with pay during the first year of their child's life or the first year after an adoption. Not to be outdone, Microsoft announced today that it will begin offering 100% paid paternal leave for 12 weeks. That starts on November 1st. They also announced additional paid holidays and improvements to their 401k plans. Will Netflix and Microsoft experience the same backlash as gravity payments when they raise their minimum salary? Yay or nay, Unger?
No, I don't think so. I applaud them for what they did. It's a different scenario entirely.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's going to go and get pregnant simply so they can get that time off.
Get the 12 weeks.
Unless they're Republicans.
Makes me want to. Yeah.
Erick's
good for them. I think that's a great cultural statement for us.
Okay, Nomi, you used up your term of race, or the case?
I don't know if it's yay or nay. What was the question?
Will it be a backlash, or is this? I mean, did they do it in Canada? I know you can take like a year off or something when you have a kid.
Come on. If Canada was so great, we'd move there.
Yeah, good point.
But I think what they're going to see is a lot of people abusing that, because if I could get a year off without pay, I'd take it.
Yeah. The best is the dad can take off because he went through so much, with the labor and everything.
It's not like you can give you can't give the kid away after the year's up. It's a pretty long-term decision just for a year off.
Interesting.
Sabbatical would be a lot cheaper.
If you have a daughter in China, you can
got one more to do. Jury duty happens to all of us, even former presidents. President George W. Bush arrived arrived at court in downtown Dallas, Texas for jury duty. While he was not chosen, he did take the time to pose for some photos, as you see there. The other jurors said he was very friendly and personable. No surprise there. Was he dismissed because he was a former president? Let's ask the lawyer first. You.
Actually, he wasn't. He was dismissed because they had already filled the jury, but I suspect he may have been dismissed for that reason. But, you know, not surprised at all. George Bush is a good guy.
He is, and the numbers show it quickly.
I think he stacked the jury.
Well said. Wouldn't it have been great if it was the OJ case?
It would have been
and then he's there for like, weeks and weeks. Not great, but that would have been a hell of a story. Anyway, that's all for tonight. Thank you, panel. Thank you, Casey, for joining us for the first time. That's all for tonight. I'm Joe Concha, and on behalf of Rick Unger and the rest of said panel, I want to thank you for joining us. The Steve Malzberg Show. That's next.